All right. Well, moving on in a significant diplomatic outreach, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance has dialed Prime Minister Modi, with the conversation coming amidst heightened focus on India-U.S. trade ties and Washington's tariff concerns. The two leaders discuss ways to further deepen the Indo-U.S. comprehensive global strategic partnership with trade, defense, critical and emerging technologies, energy security and critical minerals featured in the talks. The timing of the conversation is also significant. Just days earlier, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had spoken to Prime Minister Modi, with the two leaders reviewing the India-Israel Special Strategic Partnership and discussing the evolving situation in West Asia. Now, with J.D. Vance reaching out to Prime Minister Modi, the spotlight is firmly back on India-US ties, particularly trade and strategic cooperation. While the official readout does not specifically mention tariffs, the conversation comes against the backdrop of ongoing tariff concerns and efforts to strengthen the broader bilateral relationship. Let's talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the show is Major General Rajan Kochar, defense expert, Adit Kothari, foreign affairs expert, Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, former diplomat, and Major General Sudhakar Ji, defense expert, with us on the program as well. Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, I'll begin with you, ma'am. All right, this conversation is good. This outreach is welcome. But what about the 100% tariff that the Americans are looking to impose on India for buying Russian and Iranian oil?
Thank you, Vineet, for having me on your program. You've actually posed the most important and crucial question as to whether this telephone conversation was because of damage control that the US wants to do through Vance, given his excellent relationship with PM, given the fact that he has an Indian origin wife, etc., given the fact that Trump has actually endorsed him to be his successor. So his conversation is important. But the problem, which I'm sure Mr. Vance also faces on a daily basis, it must be a most thankless job, is the different signals which keep coming from Trump every 24 to 48 hours. Now, in this particular case, he's once again trying to penalize India and to pressurize India, a free, sovereign, democratic state, world's largest democracy, on where it should look at for its energy supplies. That is a decision that a sovereign state takes on its own, based on its core national interests. We are not a colony. We became independent in 1947. So this kind of pressure also causes a backlash as far as Indian public perception on India-US relations, which earlier used to have very high approval ratings. Is it linked with the Netanyahu conversation? I somehow don't think so. Netanyahu would never ask Trump to penalize India in any way. We have a very special relationship with Israelis, and despite everything, we have maintained that special relationship. Netanyahu's conversation must be on other issues relating to the ongoing conflict, how to bring it to a close, Israel's own difficulties right now, because it's also got itself embroiled on several fronts simultaneously, and in doing so has also, in a way, damaged its relations with some of the friendly Muslim countries who were its neighbors, Jordan, etc., who now blame the Israelis also for the kind of attacks that Iran is perpetrating on them. So I think that the Vance conversation must be on damage control, and I'm sure that PM must have explained to him that while we are ready to accommodate the Americans to the extent possible, a country of 1.4 billion people cannot be publicly pressurized into where to buy its oil from. And in any case, these 100% tariffs or 80% tariffs, as the Americans have realized by now, have actually damaged the popularity of the president with his own MAGA group. Because if you fall sick in US right now, you cannot imagine the astronomical price of Indian antibiotics because of the tariffs put on them. And who is paying that price? Who is buying the antibiotics? It's the American people, not India. Fortunately, here we have our own medicines which we get at very low rates. The same medicine which used to be available very cheap in US is now astronomically priced, and there is no other substitute. And it's written on those antibiotics. American friends have sent you WhatsApp messages. It's written made in India, all made in India. So those tariffs to stop you Americans from buying antibiotics has not happened. The Americans are paying the cost of these 100% tariffs. So we have to wait and see. Who knows, Vineet, I'm not an astrologer, but maybe 48 hours from now, he'll roll it back and he'll say, my vice president had an excellent conversation with my best friend, Prime Minister Modi of India. He's also a dear friend of mine. He has appealed to us not to do this because of our love for India and its people. We are not going to do it, etc. That could very well happen. And all of us could be, I hope, the same panel. All of them are my friends here. We might be debating this again with you tomorrow, Vineet, or day after. Let's wait and see what happens. Vineet.
Sudhakarji, what's your opinion of this, sir? The Americans, can they have, these bilateral hugs and handshakes with us while proposing this 100% tariff? Isn't this a direct attack on India's autonomous decision making when it comes to procuring oil? They've also said a lot of things about the FCRA bill, which is going to be presented in the parliament tomorrow. They said that if India passes that, there would be problems in relationship between these two nations. Americans also monitor all the funding that comes into their country. Are these double standards? Is this hypocrisy?
Vineet, good evening. Thank you for inviting me for your show, and my very deep and warm greetings to distinguished and esteemed co-panelists. Without any doubt, your question has got the answer. By now, I think enough water has flown down the Ganges. There is no need to extend the soft talk with countries like USA. I think if at all we have a self-esteem as a civilizational country and with a population of 1.46 billion, it's very important to stand up and do something which we did in 2019. And I often have been saying strategic autonomy as the central paradigm of a foreign policy needs to be revised. I personally feel, as a military man, although I have no locus standi to comment on the foreign policy because we have a very distinguished and accomplished ambassador in our panel, but I retain the prerogative of communicating my feelings as a citizen of India, and that is reciprocity. Strategic autonomy with reciprocity. If in 2019, let me quote an example. In 2019, India retaliated against the United States by imposing higher import duties on 28 American products. This action was taken in response to US removing India from the Generalized System of Preferences, GSP, and imposing duties on steel and aluminum. The targeted goods covered roughly 240 million in US imports and included key agricultural and industrial items. Agriculture products were almond 20%, walnuts, apples, chickpeas, lentils, mustard, etc., chemical and metal, which I am sure a very senior accomplished ambassador ma'am would be fully aware of. The time has come. We need to give it back in the same coin. We have to speak the language. Donald Trump, unfortunately, does not understand. He doesn't know what he is saying and what he is doing. We have gone through the full cycle of 50%, and from 25% it went to 50%, then it came down to 18%. The Supreme Court of the United States has actually given him a tight slap, brought it down to MFN status of 3%, and then it has come to 18%, and suddenly he is imposing this tariff against some nations, and this is a kind of a secondary, kind of a ripple effect of the main tariff that he is imposing on. India, what else India can do? I fully endorse what ma'am has said, Ambassador ma'am. And there is no option. You can't switch on and switch off like the blink of an eye. You are buying oil from Iran. They said, don't buy from Iran. Go to Venezuela, they said, don't buy from Venezuela. Go to Russia, at their behest, buy oil. Suddenly, the new president comes, he comes up with a new idea and says, sorry, we have to penalize you for whatever reason. Then he said, go back to Venezuela. We have gone back to Venezuela. And now the whole dependency is gradually increasing on America. This kind of flip-flop behavior has to be checked and stood up to by some country like India, which has got depth and enormity in its strength and the civilizational character. To talk it out loudly, it is India who was the pioneer in the freedom movement. It is India who fought against the colonialism. It is India who must fight against the economic imperialism which US is trying to impose on the world order. We must talk, call it out. We must fight it back and must reciprocate in the same coin rather in the bigger coin. We need to do it maybe discreetly, maybe in a calibrated manner, but India must not actually sleepwalk into the pathway which is being opened up by America. America as a country cannot be trusted. That's it. Thank you. Back to you, please.
General Kocher, can the Americans be trusted? And do we have a choice, even if they can't be trusted?
Jan Vineet, I actually heard two wonderful speeches of the panelists, very passionate and very patriotic. But let's get down to the ground reality today. And your question is very, very specific. Are we in a position to do it? Because today, just look at the environment. Look at what is happening around us. Look at the way Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Turkey pacts are going. Bangladesh, turbulence in Bangladesh. Sheikh Hasina, she does a press conference and the ripple effects in Bangladesh and our own dependencies. Today I will focus on the defense sector because I think it is relevant to speak brass tacks rather than speak in a journal language. Technology, are we independent of technology? Are we not dependent on the United States for technology? Can we trust China? See, you just made a statement, can we trust America? Can we trust China? Who are the people who are going to stand by us in case there'll be a war? Dependencies, jet engine technology is found wanting. Our AMCA program and Tejas program has all gone for a 6. Maritime domain awareness, the kind of technology which America actually gives to us. We have COMCOSA with them. We have BECA with them. We have ISET with them, and so many other technology sharing platforms. What about AI and precision systems, and what about the orders we are placing on a regular basis with America, and what about the promise we have given to Americans that we are going to increase the trade to $500 billion? Because that has also been a statement from the Indian side which was accepted on both sides. So when we, you see, I'm being realistic. I'm not trying to get into an argument with anybody because everybody has got his own views. But I'm trying to be realistic, and that is why, in spite of whatever Donald Trump says, there is no response from India because we don't want to mess up our relationship with them. About the FTA, the free trade agreement which has been languishing on the table from tariffs 50% to 18% and still not finalized. And why America is not finalizing it? Because certain issues where India is standing tall and India is not succumbing to the pressure from America. And this is one way, Vineet, this is one way of trying to twist India by saying that we are going to impose 100% tariffs. What business have you got to impose 100% tariffs? We are, as a nation, we are at the liberty to buy whatever we want to buy from any country. And as a matter of fact, because of this US pressure, we have gone to Venezuela. We have gone to US now. A substantial portion of oil and gas is coming from these countries. We have already towing the line of the Americans to a certain extent. How long? Satellites. I'll just give you a small example of satellite, defense, satellite information, surveillance and all. We are still dependent on the Americans because our own satellite systems have not picked up. So, Vineet, I'll just conclude my argument by saying that it is very easy to say that we should be strong, we should give a riposte, and that is the reason the Ministry of External Affairs is extremely cautious in making any statement in regard to America, because we are in a very close cooperative mode with them. Tomorrow, things may change. Government may decide that, okay, hell with it now. We have had enough of you. But that time I don't think has come as of now, because considering the environmental issues as of now, and also in this conversation that the Strait of Hormuz has also been discussed with the Americans. Because America, I believe, I was just reading the statement which has come out after this conversation. J.D.Vance is also trying to assure that there will be a free flow of oil and everything happening from there, which I don't see it happening. Today,
Right,
Iran has come out with a 6-point agenda as far as the Strait of Hormuz is concerned. Is America going to agree? No. No way America will agree to that. So,
Okay. All right, let's get another voice into this conversation as well. Adit is here with us as well. Adit, do you think these dynamics are likely to change? Is India going to bite the bullet just to get along with the Americans and continue to have that huge market serve us and be served above anything else?
So, Vinny, the way I look at it is the tone of the Prime Minister once the call was concluded. It was constructive, it was partnership oriented, which basically says that we will essentially treat this high level conversation as routine. We will continue to review our relationships with the United States. The Indo-US relationships are far more important from a long-term perspective than the relationship between Trump and India. Trump is only going to be there for the next 2 years. So a mercurial, a very mercantile, a very transactional Trump just needs to be mitigated. It just needs to be handled for the next 2 years. And then once he's gone, things are going to come back to a status quo. And that is why the kind of reciprocity that we would potentially like to see from an emotional perspective is not being seen either from an external affairs ministry perspective or a MEA perspective. If this was any other country, I am pretty sure, India would have been all over. But because this is the United States, you have to understand the realities, the trade deficit, the kind of dependency that our traders, our exporters have on United States, our shrimp exporters. I'll recall that, when the tariffs were hit last year, one of the first voices that came out were the shrimp exporters and the canned food exporters into the United States, and they were hit visibly and quite negatively. So the way India has actually gone about this is very interesting. They've tried to diversify trade. If you just look at the trade with ASEAN countries, for example, that is up 67% as of last year. If you look at Africa, for example, that is up almost 55%. And the same way, we're trying to ensure that we diversify trade with either United Kingdom, Europe, and we reduce our reliance on the United States. So therefore, the leverage that United States at this point commands over a country like India can be limited.
We've run out of time. We've run out of time. Appreciate everybody's response, but unfortunately, we don't have time. Sudhakarji, I would have accommodated, but we have seriously run out of time. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this conversation. We'll take a short break.